Hi everybody, Stephen Aitchison here with another Change Your Thoughts Today show. I've got a very, very special guest on today. This is going to be the first live interview we've done, and it's going to be with the amazing Terri Cole. And if you don't know Terri, Terri is a New York based psychotherapist, and she's been on TV, she's been the coaches for famous celebrities. And if I've not got the bio in front of me, Terri, I do apologise, just not got it in front of me. But she is amazing. You've probably seen it, maybe her books from Hay House as well. So what I'm going to do by way of an introduction before kind of Terri comes on, I'm just going to show you a quick promotional video, because I thought this promotional video was just, it's a beautiful kind of little video. It's only a couple of minutes long, but it'll give you an introduction to Terri as well. So bear with me a wee second and I'll get that organised for you just now. Okay.
Do I know you? You are overwhelmed, so busy, exhausted, stressed out.
You're also successful by our cultural standard, but you still feel sometimes that something is missing. You're smart and ambitious, but you have a nagging feeling that there must be more. You have the job, the salary, and other stuff that constitutes success in our society, yet you're left wondering, is this really all there is? Is this how I'm supposed to feel? Shouldn't I be enjoying this process a little bit more? You know how to work, you know how to succeed, but you don't have balance. Life has become one big to-do list, and even the things that should bring you joy or used to bring you joy feel like just another obligation. Your needs and desires seem to end up at the bottom of that to-do list at the end of every day. And honestly, who has the energy? You want more satisfaction, meaning joy, but you simply don't know how to get it. When you put your head on the pillow at night, you just want to feel that you've done enough, that you're truly loved and seen for the person you really are, with a sense of inner peace that all is well. All of my overachieving sisters want the same thing in life, real love and success that creates that inner peace and the ability to finally exhale.
You want to be able to speak authentically, draw boundaries with ease and grace, and get rid of the people-pleasing syndrome for good.
I know you because I was you. And I've helped thousands of women just like you rewrite limiting beliefs and rewire these ingrained behaviors to create a life and love of their dreams. Real love changes everything. It personally took me years of soul searching, therapy, and a cancer diagnosis to figure out how to stop using achievements to fill the hole that only self-love can fill.
I know for a fact that you can create a life and a love life that thrills and fulfills you, and you won't need 20 years of therapy or a cancer diagnosis to get it. You're welcome.
Join me and one powerful group of women on one transformational adventure starting February 1st, 2017, the Real Love Revolution.
My name is Terri Cole. For those of you who don't know me, I'm super excited to be here. Stephen has had a huge impact on my business, and he's also a friend. So I'm really, really honored to be here. I'm a licensed psychotherapist. I am a master coach, and I live in New York City, and this is where I mainly practice. And right now I'm really, really lit up about helping people find real revolutionary love in their lives. It has basically been my mission for the past 2 decades that I've been a psychotherapist. My focus has been decoding this process of healthy, juicy, vibrant love. And as we go through the interview, Stephen will talk about my own experience and your experience as well.
That's brilliant. Thanks very much, Terri. I love how you say juicy, vibrant love. I love that. So what we're going to be talking about today is kind of real love revolution, but specifically today we're going to be talking about the 5 pillars of love, Terri.
Yeah.
So what would be the kind of, we'll not do the kind of introduction just now about our story, because our story, we kind of spoke, well, I first met Terri, just to let you know, I first met Terri back last year, And one of the first things we did on a Skype call, this is how real and genuine and authentic Terri is. I hope you don't mind me kind of sharing this, Terri. One of the first things she did, she said, dude, I'm just putting on my makeup. Just keep talking to me. I'm just putting on my makeup. And she was sitting there on Skype, putting on her makeup while I was talking to her. That's how real and genuine. She just doesn't give a shit, which I love as well. And I totally love that. No, you don't mind me sharing that. So the first pillar of love. What's the first pillar of love, Terri?
Well, let me just briefly tell you why I came up with this whole concept of a way to teach people how to do it. Because after being a therapist for so many years, I had all of these, so much of the time it was women, not only, but a lot of high functioning women. That's really my demographic, is women who can get it done, but they couldn't seem to figure this part of their life out and what they wanted. They were in either unsatisfying relationships with a feeling of like, well, I have the husband and the kids and the house, but shouldn't I feel different than I do? Or the ones who just couldn't figure it out at all and who were perpetually single. And so what I did is I started doing all of this research and collecting data of what were the same experiences that people were having. So I would have breakthroughs with clients privately, but then I would start to understand that there was all of these patterns of behavior and experiences. And so I took all of that information and created these pillars, because not everyone can be in therapy for 20 years, right? Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone wants to do it. And yet everyone deserves juicy, vibrant, healthy love that feels amazing. Everyone deserves that. That is every person watching, you, me, this is our birthright, Yep. So I just wanted a little background on what inspired me. Like, what was my compelling force was meeting all of these amazing people these women I would fall in love with. And I was like, they deserve this. And I know that there's a way that if we can shift what's happening unconsciously, if we can reveal these patterns of their life and where they came from, that they will be liberated from this cage that they've been stuck in. And because I saw it successfully so many times, I was like, there has to be a streamlined way where anyone can do this if they're willing to do the work. So the first pillar that I came up with is self-awareness. Because so much of what happens is that we think that the way things were for our parents, or the way things were in the world, basically, like we think that's the way it is, right? Like, meaning that set in stone, or that is some universal truth, which isn't so. So the awareness, first of all, awareness that you're not happy if you're not, awareness that something needs to change if it does, and your own awareness to your fear of it changing. Because as much as we all want revolutionary love, there's a very universal experience of fear of change.
So the kind of fear of change, that just talking about going back to kind of learning from our parents and that as well. We take kind of what we learn from our parents and kind of adapt that into our own lives as well. So you kind of saying like the first pillar of love is really not necessarily kind of paying attention to what your parents did or what they taught you, but doing your own thing and kind of really consciously being aware of yourself. Is this what we're talking about here when you're talking about self-awareness?
Yes, being aware of how you feel, what you've been experiencing, where you're not satisfied in your life. I find that people are afraid to tap into that, because if you don't think you have the skills or don't know that you have the skills to change it, it's almost like it's easier to go with the status quo. You know what I mean? Okay, life as usual. I get up. This is what I do. I do this. He does this. And even with sex and stuff like that, where it's like, I do this, you do that, now we're done. Where, when's the last time you felt passionate about that or brought something new and interesting into it, even long-term relationships? So part of the pillars that I created were completely applicable for people in relationships and people single, because the truth is it all comes back to you. Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing from when I've been talking to you as well. That's a key thing as well. It really all starts from within. So what goes within, then you can kind of put it outside there as well. Put it outside your energy, kind of put that energy out there to other people and give love to other people as well. Because I really truly believe if you can't truly love yourself, you can't truly love another person as well with all your energy.
Listen, absolutely. This course that I created, I wanted to call it Self-Love is the Only Path to True Love, but I didn't, because I was like, nobody's going to take that. Nobody wants to hear about self-love because they don't understand what it actually looks like in action in the world on a daily basis. It sounds so amorphous, and it's this broad stroke of like, it's almost like, as our friend David would say, like a spiritual cupcake. Like, just love yourself more, it's all going to work out. And that's bull, right? That's not true if you don't know what that looks like in actions.
How does it look then for you? Okay, so specifically talking about you, I know you've got an amazing relationship as well. How does it look for you?
Being my authentic self is the first thing that comes to mind. Not being afraid to let Vic see not just me putting on my makeup. Obviously, I'm confident enough to not care that I barely knew you and was like just clean faced and like, whatever. Anyway, let's talk. But more than that, it's like letting someone see what you consider as for me, it's my shadow self, not the parts of me that are great, because I'm well versed in what I'm good at. I'm not 25 years old. I've lived a life. I've had 30 years of therapy and a million, relationship coaches and life coaches and whatever. It's being yourself at your most vulnerable, at the things that you feel either ashamed of or embarrassed about, and building such a strong foundation in a relationship that the other person would never take advantage of that, would never use that against you, would never throw that in your face. The beginning of self-awareness is knowing that there are parts of you that you are not excited about. And if we cut off that shadow self and we don't handle it, it's like it gets bigger and bigger, right? Because we're in denial. Because all of us have these amazing parts of us, like awesome. And then all of us have these things that are not as awesome, right?
And a couple of things you mentioned there, which is really interesting to me as well, is number one, you never kind of voiced it, but we're talking about being vulnerable here as well. There's a certain aspect of being vulnerable, which I've kind of spoken about in kind of other shows as well. But how important is being vulnerable kind of particularly in relationships as well, not if you're kind of single as well, but particularly in relationship, how important is that?
Well, here's the thing. I talk about it in what I teach about vulnerability is being voluntarily vulnerable, meaning using discernment about who you are vulnerable with. Right? So think of it like a house, right? You need to create healthy boundaries, which is like how at night when you go to sleep, you lock your door, or you may have a fence around your home for protection, not like paranoia, but protection. And people who cannot discern who to be vulnerable with, it's like they have the front door of their house wide open, not even closed, so that anyone can come in. And so when you get to this point of you're moving through the self-awareness, which then moves into self-knowledge, which is very specific. That's the second pillar. It's very specific to you, right? You have a different story, Stephen, than I do. Every person on this live stream has a very unique story, and their experiences are unique, which is why there is no one size fits all. And I feel like as a psychotherapist, I could never get with these books about, calling in the one, or rules girls who all you need to do is not call them back for 2 days and that works. Because if you have not unpacked, and if you don't have the self-knowledge of what actually happened in your life, in your growing up, to understand why you are the way you are, or have the beliefs that you have around love and partnership, it doesn't matter how many days you do or don't call someone back. Right? Those left-right swipe sites won't work for you, because wherever you go, there you are with your unresolved crap that you're playing out in each new relationship. Does that make sense?
Yep, it totally does. So self-knowledge is obviously the second pillar for this. So self-knowledge in the part that you're understanding yourself, where your feelings are coming from, where you kind of love, or how you love, is where that is all kind of gained, the knowledge that's gained from. So what else about kind of self-knowledge would you kind of talk about if you're speaking to somebody about that?
Well, part of it is we do, the things that I do with clients is all of these I call them downloaded blueprints, because all the things that you learned in your childhood home, wherever that was, single parent, happy parents, terrible parents, abusive parents, we have this information that is in, I call it the basement, right, of your mind, which is your subconscious or your unconscious. And if we can't or don't bring that up into the main part of the house, it's kind of like having something that stinks in the basement of your home. Maybe it's a bag of crap, maybe it's a dead animal, I don't know what it is, but no matter how much you clean the main part of your house or spray those yucky sprays, still gonna be funky. It's not gonna be correct. So this unconscious material, that's something that is so important to access and to even know that it's there. So that's what the self-knowledge piece is getting really specific about what were the downloaded blueprints in your life. In my life, the downloaded love blueprint wasn't great. And yet I have really, really great love in my life now, like super specific, amazing love. And I have for the past 20 years. So how do I do that? Well, it's not because I'm so special. It's because I've done 30 years of therapy and really worked on this, and then been in the trenches with my clients for 2 decades, helping them connect the dots backwards from what is not happening now in their life, right? What is eluding them? I can always help them connect the dots backwards to an original experience that they haven't looked at or that they forgot about. So the self-knowledge piece and that pillar is a really big and important one, because there is no one size fits all, and nobody can do it for you. You have to be willing to be like, I like to say, you gotta like be willing to like get your, pull your sleeves up and go into the crap stew, because a lot of times this is painful childhoods. All of us have had some form of dysfunction, whether it's extreme dysfunction with sexual, physical, emotional abuse, whether it's just my situation, my father was a high functioning alcoholic. So there was no yelling, but there was a different kind of neglect, emotional neglect, when you have a parent who is not present, right? Yeah. You're like, why am I not good enough? Why don't you want to spend time with me or be with me? Because he was also a workaholic. So it's unpacking those specific things in the self-knowledge pillar, which will lead us to, unless you have anything else to say about self-knowledge.
Well, I was going to ask then, so when somebody, obviously what we're looking for here is genuine, authentic love. This is what we're talking about, real real love. How does somebody come to the awareness that this is kind of what they need? But because all the shit's going on in the background in the subconscious mind, and you say, why am I getting into all these shitty relationships? It's the same relationships. Why am I getting into that? And why does this always happen to me? When obviously it's something to do with what's happened in the past. They've not got enough self-knowledge. But how does that come to the fore? How do you kind of bring that to the fore to start saying, I need to start changing that?
It's such a really, really good and empowering question, which the real thing is you really have to be in some kind of acceptance that if you are dissatisfied, unhappy in your relationship or in your life, that's everything comes back to you, right? You are the common denominator in your life. And so I don't say that in a blaming way. I say that in a way that is extremely good news, because if it's you, then you can change it. And so rather than, what I want to inspire people on this live stream to realize is that every single one of you, no matter what you've experienced in your life, you can have better, healthier, happier experiences as of this moment going forward. So love is not for the lucky. It really isn't about being somewhere at the right time. It's not like Cinderella. It's not like all these crappy movies that we see where it's like they plant all this BS about how love is, like it, the stars have to align. No, they actually don't. They don't have to align. You have to realize that you're unhappy, unsatisfied, unmotivated, not lit up in your life or in your relationship. Don't think that the boat, you missed the love boat because you're 60, 50, 40, 70, 100. I don't care how old you are. You didn't miss any boat because you're the maker of the boat, right? Decide.
I think that is really, really powerful. And for anybody that is looking to ask any questions about what Terry's talking about today, just put a capital Q at the beginning, then ask your question. We'll get to those at the end. But I just think, Terry, that is extremely powerful, because really what you're saying is you've got the power to take control of your life and really start to change your life as well. But you also have to accept the responsibility for that as well, which is a huge thing.
And this is, I want to say a little bit more about that, because Stephen, that's one of the biggest blockers, is that if you've been victimized in your life by having a crappy upbringing and parents who were not healthy enough to be good parents, if you were abused, neglected, felt unloved, or just had it, like with me, I didn't have those things. I didn't have a good model of love. My parents got married because my mother was pregnant. She had to drop out of college. She never went back to college. Like, it's not a love. Like, I was like, marriage looks fucking awful. Pardon my French.
That's
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Very genuine.
Like, marriage does not look like something that sounds like great, you know? It looks like my mother's feeling of marriage was that it was a trap. It was something that made your possibilities and your opportunities get really small. So her message to me was, hey man, get an education, right? Yeah. Make your own money so that love can be a choice and not a need, and doesn't become a prison. Now, she didn't say those words to me. She didn't have to. Trust me, most of our parents are not like, hey, I don't want you to have what I had. Like, they may not do that, but they communicate with us all the time about how it is. My mother taught me that men were people to be managed, not related to with a heart connection. And only through my own revealing of my own downloaded blueprint was I able to go, ugh, that is what that's what she experienced. And I wish that wasn't the case, but that doesn't have to be the case for me. And back to the taking responsibility part, yeah. Once you process out, like, wow, and you have to honor what you experienced. I'm not a psychotherapist who wants to stay like forever, like in your 6th year of life. Like, I'm not interested in that, unless what happened in your 6th year of life is the thing that is blocking you from getting what you want now. Then sure, we're going to look at that. We're going to talk about that, but not for like 10 years. We're going to unpack it, clean it up, and be like, okay, now I understand, that makes sense, moving on. Because with the whole victimization piece, and this is like a hot topic, and I find sometimes in the world of psychotherapy that, well, I've gotten some sort of like crap online and from different people around me saying this. But the only way to change what's happening in your life is you can honor your experiences without staying madly in love with that position of being a victim, and that you have the power to change that and realize that if you're staying in bad situations, it's because it was modeled for you. It's because love and pain or violence went like this at a very young age. Yeah. But I promise you, we can do this, and they can be separated, but that is only with you. Like, we are the ones we've been waiting for. You know what I mean? Like, no one else is coming. It has to be from you. It's us. Our parents won't do it. The government's not doing it. Only you can change that, and you start by changing your mind.
Brilliant. And I know we're going to talk about the third pillar in a second, but this is just really fascinating for me. I think what you're talking about here as well, because obviously I've had kind of my parents and kind of looked at their kind of relationship, and they're still married, which is fantastic. But does it seem to be not just a generational thing, but women in general? And we're talking about women here because your program is about women, but guys, I mean, this is really, really powerful stuff as well. Any of the guys watching here, because I've spoken to Terry about this, and it is really, truly powerful. But it's about women really saying, fuck this, I'm going to stand up for myself and really do it, because this is a different generation altogether, and women are becoming so empowered. Like, especially online, that I see there's so many kind of powerful women online as well, and it's brilliant to see. Do you not think it's kind of also a generational thing, and we're starting to change our attitudes as well?
Absolutely.
Which I love as well. Okay, so moving on, I know I kind of laboured on about that because I'm just really interested in it, but pillar number
Me
3.
too. We could be on here for like 7 hours.
I know. So pillar number 3, what would you talk about with pillar number 3 then?
pillar number 3 is self-acceptance, because you can't, there's so many women and people that I've worked with who reject themselves physically, emotionally, constantly making themselves wrong, saying their ass is too fat, saying they're not pretty enough, they're not the right age, they're not the right whatever. And also denying what's happened in the past. So the self-acceptance piece is so important, because we can't change anything from a false place, right? We can only change things from an authentic, real place. How can we make real movements if you're in denial of where you are? So I need you to love your body right now, not 10 pounds from now. I need you to be in acceptance of what happened in your childhood right now, not you trying to recreate some perfect childhood. Like, the repetition compulsion, it's called, within family systems, is the unconscious compulsion to repeat patterns of behavior, even if they don't give you what you want, right? Even if it's not what you want. So you look at someone who grew up in an unhealthy home, with an alcoholic parent, and then 10 years later, 15 years later, every lover they have is an alcoholic. And they're like, I don't know how this is happening. I'm like, okay, well, it is happening. So we need to get into that unconscious material to go, oh my God, look, I'm trying to get a do-over with my father unconsciously, which of course is not going to happen, because it's not happening. That's in the past. Yeah. So self-acceptance is a really big part of the change that happens as people move towards creating this vibrant love in their life.
So the self-acceptance part, obviously, that's a huge kind of component of this as well. But we kind of mentioned there, obviously, kind of body. I've kind of read about kind of body dysmorphia and stuff like that as well. But how do we get over something like that? When you see all this crap in the media, all this crap in the magazines and all the TV and everything else, and you're saying this is the body you should have, how do you accept something like that? When you see you're a wee bit overweight and you need to lose a wee bit of weight and you just can't quite, how do you accept something like that?
Well, part of it, I mean, I got fast tracked on this in my young life because I was diagnosed with cancer in my early 30s. And nothing will have you appreciate your body, your healthy body, more than having something that threatens your life. So the minutia, the small, petty ways that we can be mean to ourselves. Every person on this call, for a moment, think about something terrible happening to you. You having no control over being diagnosed with something that's going to shorten your life. Trust me, you'd be so happy to have the time to maybe eat a little healthier and walk a little bit more. It's not about perfection. You don't have to wait until you're 80 to have the wisdom that life is a gift, an honor, and a privilege. And you being petty with yourself is a way that you live small. So fuck what the media says, right? Yeah. You are the decider. You are the determining factor. If you don't like what you see, then change it. And I don't mean if you're being crazy and you have body dysmorphia, then you need help, right? You need to get in therapy. But if you really are 50 pounds overweight, 40 pounds overweight, which is unhealthy for your heart, for your cholesterol, and for your desire to have sex with anyone, right? Because we don't want to get naked if we're feeling really bad about our bodies. Then just start walking a little more. Get a partner. Move your butt. Eat a teeny bit less. Don't eat at night. You know these things, you guys. Yeah. This is basic physics of consume slightly less calories. And listen, these are all things that I deal with people in my groups and in my programs where, trust me, on a 45-minute live stream, I can't give you every key, but I promise you that if you had a diagnosis, if something were to threaten your life, I was also held up at gunpoint, P.S., which that's another experience that when something happens to you where you really realize that your life could have ended in a second, in one moment, you will never be mad at your body again, because I'm so happy to be alive, to get to do this work, to get to be on here with you, Stephen, and have the relationships that I have. And also, I know the truth. I'm 52 years old, right? I'm not 25. And you know what? Menopause, which I'm pretty much through, but was a bitch. And I love to blame it. Like, I just gained those 20 pounds because of menopause. Finally, my GP, my doctor was like, okay, Terri, stop blaming menopause. Just stop eating at night. Like, you know how to lose. You want to lose 20 pounds? Stop talking about it. I was like, what do you mean? I can't just keep talking about menopause? She's like, well, you can, but it's not going to make you lose the 20 pounds you want to lose. And in May, I just was like, yeah, I'm doing this. And I did. And I feel so much better. Life changes, you guys. I could lose 20 pounds when I was 25 in like 2 weeks, no problem. And I was being a victim, like, menopause is terrible. No, you know what? Menopause is a part of life. How about be grateful you're in menopause? Because that means you've lived this long. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally love it. I love it.
Wow, that was long, but anyway, good.
There's two things. Maybe we should do another show, because there's loads of that. I didn't realise the time. I know you're only on for about 45 minutes. But there's two things I want to touch on. Two things I want to touch on again.
Just you and I, whatever you want to do.
Is cancer. You spoke about the cancer, and you spoke about being held up at gunpoint. Now, it's something I wasn't going to talk about, but you brought it up, so I'm just going to touch on it quickly. Obviously that must have affected you so much. How does something like that affect you?
Well, at the time, listen, I'd had many years. That was 18 years ago, right? And I've been perfectly healthy, very intentionally since. I mean, it changed my whole life, right? Where I decided that I really knew that this wasn't a dress rehearsal. I really got it, that we're live right now, and that in any moment it could end. And instead of being paranoid, in the beginning, of course, every lump I felt anywhere, I was like, oh crap, I think I have cancer. Like, that part sucked, of being paranoid about that. And I cried about the loss of my own innocence, right? I was only in my early 30s, and I was like, wow, I'm never going to just expect to be healthy again. And yet that's not true. The many years that, that's 20 years ago almost, that, I do expect to be healthy because I work at it, but I also have great doctors, and I go often, and I'm like, I don't let anything go. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not in a paranoid way, but in a very, like, I love this life way, and I do not want to be sick, and I do not want to die young. I want to live to be 100. So how I got over it, quote unquote, I wouldn't say I got over it. I would say that I integrated the experience into my life, where I let it in a positive way inform how I would be in the world. I never, ever honestly said, why me? I think, why not me? Everyone else in the world has cancer. Why the hell not me? Like, I'm not so special. And I don't see it as a punishment. It was a wake-up call that gratefully changed my entire life. So it changed me, and you know what? There are negative things, like, I am more mindful of my health. Maybe that isn't negative, but it's something that at times I've been like, I wish I could just be like my friends who haven't gone to a doctor in like 15 years, they don't care. Me, I would never miss a mammogram, right? I would never miss going to the doctor annually. I go for skin like every 6 months I get my skin checked because there's skin cancer in my family too. Like, it's living like I really want to live, because I do.
Brilliant. Oh, I love it. I love it. For everybody watching this as well, I'm going to put a link to Terri's video. You did a brilliant video, Ted. So I'm going to put a link down below as well for that as well. And we'll put links down to the Real Love Revolution as well for you. But moving on to number 4, and thanks for sharing that, Terri, I really appreciate it. But moving on to number 4, pillar number 4. What is pillar number 4?
Self-compassion.
Self-compassion.
So what does this look like? It looks like that mean girl or guy in your mind, that bully, I call it the mafia mind. It looks like you taking control back from that internalized, punitive, mean voice that all of us have to a degree, right? Now, there's 2 ways, right, it happens, but we all internalize our caregivers, or it could have been like a mean choir teacher, or like a bully at school, or it could have been your parents who nothing was ever good enough, or excuse me, they you got a 98 and they were like, why wasn't it 100? The perfectionism syndrome, which I deal with as well so much in my programs and what I'm doing, because it's so prevalent, especially with overfunctioning women. It's unbelievable. So self-compassion is such a game changer in being able to really be like, oh, you're great. Like, get a little picture of you as a kid, and all of the mean things that you may say in your mind. If you see that little face, that little adorable cutie that was you, that little cutie is still you. And don't you think that that kid, that innocent child deserves your love, affection, and attention? I mean, Buddha says you, more than anyone else in the world, deserve your love, affection, and attention. That was a paraphrase, but I mean, and how long ago was Buddha walking the earth? A long time. So this is real. And without this piece, and I feel like this is one of the key pieces to having really good love in your life, because everything comes from you. So if you think that you're worthy, then you will attract someone who agrees. And if you think you're an idiot, you will attract people who will reaffirm that for you.
Exactly.
If you think that you should do all the work and that person should sit back and you should like be their slave, you will find people who are like, right on. And if you think that you should be partnered with someone who gives a shit about what you think and how you feel and what you want, you will also attract someone who agrees with you.
That's almost like what you're saying there is what we affirm to ourselves. And it's true, I've seen it so much in my life and so many other people's lives as well. What we affirm to ourselves, we attract in our life because of the energy we generate from those affirmations that we're telling ourselves. Now, obviously, we can have negative affirmations as well, which a lot of people do. We've also got the positive affirmations as well. I am worthy. I love myself. Even saying, I think last week what we did, Terri, is we got people to say, I love myself, and there's resistance there. People can feel that resistance when they just say those few words, I love myself, but there's resistance. Some people cry, some people get upset, but what you're saying is so true as well. So it's affirming to yourself that you are worthy. So that's pillar number 4. Obviously, a really, really powerful one as well. So the last one before we go to questions, what's pillar number 5?
Well, it's really a combination, pillar 5. It's self-love, which is living with all of the things that you learned in the other 4 pillars, like in action on a daily basis, that's what self-love is. It is treating yourself with the same kindness that you would a small child that you love. It is expecting yourself to do great things in the world. It is forgiving yourself when you fail. It is not berating yourself with this negative self-talk, It's giving yourself a break. It's knowing when you need a break. It's taking a day. It's like, for me, it looks like, right, today, I'm tired. Last night, I was like, I should get up for 7 a.m. yoga. I did not do that. And you know what? It's okay. I'll go tomorrow. In when I was younger and in my 20s, it wouldn't matter how much I didn't sleep. I would go to the gym. I would do that. But that was all driven by fear, driven by how I looked, driven by wanting to have my ass look a particular way, not driven by self-love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
By fear. I'm not good enough. And then the other part of the self-love pillar is self-celebration. So we move past like self-acceptance, because that seems so not fun, although it's a very mandatory part of the process, into self-celebration. Like, this is where you start to get that you are the only you ever. Like, DNA-wise, it's a fact. On this planet, there has never been and will never be another you. It is your uniqueness that makes you who you are. It's not about, like, forget compare and despair. Who needs that bullshit? You are the only you. And I teach people with this self-love to become the best, most embodied you that you can be, not some version of someone else.
Perfect. Perfect. I love it. And I think that's a brilliant note to kind of end the 5 pillars of love. What we're going to do just now, Terri, is we're just going to go to some Q&As. We'll
Great.
just go to some questions just now. See if we've got any questions. I'll just go to see if we're up and running. Right, and the comments typically stick on Facebook, and they are sticking today again. But I'm just going to see if we have any questions at the moment. Okay. So if you've got any questions just now, the comments are sticking just now, just typical Facebook. If you've got any questions just now, just put a Q at the beginning and then ask your question. I'm going to ask Terri them just now. So if you can bear with me a wee second, we're just going to go up and then we'll go up again.
Captains, because that seems so not fun. Although it's a very mandatory part of the process.
Right. Jennifer Joy Watts is saying thank you very much. Big hugs. That's to Terri. Miguelina, I'm just going to read out some comments here. I love you both. Thank you very much.
I love you.
Just see if we've got any questions. There's a lot of wows, there's a lot of hearts coming in, Terri, and obviously you can't see that. Terry's on Skype just now, so she can't see me either just now, but Terry's on Skype, so I'm just kind of relaying what's happening. There's loads of hearts going across. We're just trying to look for the questions, but the comments are sticking just now, which is a pain in the arse, so I do apologise for that.
It's okay. Let me look, because a lot of my people might be sending me questions on Martin, so let me look.
Right, that'd be brilliant. Sharon Nation is saying, I needed to hear this today. And definitely. And obviously I'm going to put a link. There's a link above this video if you want to go and check that out as well. It's just amazing stuff. This is only, the 5 pillars is just kind of one kind of small section of what Terri kind of teaches as well. And she's got a new program coming out, Real Love Revolution, which is going to be, I've seen the videos, I've seen the kind of promos, I've talked with David about it as well. It's just going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait for it to come out. And I know it's kind of for women, Terri, I know it's for women, but I've learned so much from you as well, just through our conversations as well. I know it's not for guys, but I've learned so much from you, and I think guys would kind of benefit from it as well, but I know it's actually specifically aimed for women as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, see, I actually had some questions come to mind. So do you want to hit them, or where are we at?
We've got a question just now. We've just got a question from Erin Gavin. When you slip into berating yourself, how do you stop it?
Well, there's one cute trick that is a cognitive behavioral thing that I teach you guys to do, which is basically, it's called the rubber band trick. So you put a rubber band or a hair tie on your wrist, and then here's the thing, Erin, the awareness that you don't want to do that, right? So she said it's like you slip into it, meaning she's already aware that that's not the mindset that she wants to have, and that there has to be an awareness that that voice, that mean voice, you have to separate it from yourself, because I promise you it isn't you. So once you have that awareness, and I teach people how to meditate, and in this course we have 10 therapeutic meditations that people will be doing on the daily, because meditation, and they're just 10 minutes, because I don't expect people to become like, you don't have to become Deepak Chopra. It's just about creating a little bit of stillness and silence, so that there's space between your thought and your action. So what Erin is saying is that, Erin, when you have that thought come up and you find yourself like, oh, I just started being mean to myself about a mistake that I made, you snap the rubber band, and then you stop and take a deep breath and just say, I love and accept myself. All is well. I love and accept myself. All is well. Because here's the thing, and you guys can come up with a different affirmation if that doesn't work for you. In the course, I do a whole thing on affirmations that don't suck, basically. Yeah. Because affirmations generally, in my estimation, do suck. They're so weird, they're so flowery, they're so unicorny that you're like, I would never say that, and that does not resonate with me at all. So I've come up with a much more, I like to say it's not your mother's affirmations, because it's got to be something that actually resonates with you, or it won't make any change. You know what I mean? Like, you can't say, I'm so happy and grateful for my size 2, but if you're a size 16, that doesn't feel good. That's fake. But I like affirmations that are like, I'm so happy and grateful for my healthy body that's on its way to me right now. Well, that might work. And it's on its way to you because you're doing the work to get it, So it's changing your mindset. So Erin, back to this rubber band trick, or this little exercise. After you do that, when you do it enough, what happens is our minds our bodies as humans. We are very pain adverse. We don't like pain. Even a small little snapping pain, we don't like it. So now you're planting this association in your unconscious mind that when you say that negative thing, when you're being mean to yourself, that pain will come, and your unconscious mind will start protecting you from doing it because it doesn't want that snapping pain. And it starts to have a good feeling about you saying, I love and accept myself, all is well. So, and that's all in the, if you can look it up, I actually have that online somewhere, Terri Cole, the rubber band trick. Trust me, it's out there.
I know somebody's just confirming that as well, just what you're saying there, Deb Wells. I've done the rubber band thing. It's good to take your mind off from overthinking, which is fantastic. So I love that as well. And I know you're big into affirmations as well, but real kind of affirmations, but also you're into meditations, which you do a kind of 21-day kind of meditation as well, which I love. You've got a brilliant voice for meditations. And so we'll obviously put the link up for that as well so people can sign up. Because
that's happening right now, and we're only on day 4, and everything will be available. So don't worry, you can pick up right where we are right now. But something about being in a group and doing this collectively, and it's the Real Love meditation series. And so each of them are between like 9 and 11 minutes, let's say. So you don't have to be a meditator at all. You just need to have a butt and a couch and be able to hit play. And you can meditate, trust me.
Excellent. And I do believe anybody can meditate, and I always kind of advocate that everybody should meditate. If it's guided meditations, it's just as good as kind of the guru meditation that somebody else is trying to teach you, but it doesn't really work. So I really believe in meditations as well. Right, the comments are sticking, so if you've got questions there, Terri, I'll try and pick up some.
I had some of them come in, and one of them was about if I'm in a long-term marriage that is not happy, is a course like this for me? That was the last one that came in.
Yeah.
And I say yes. And I'll just tell you about a couple of experiences that we had last year. Because here's the thing about what I can tell anyone who's thinking about joining us for the Real Love Revolution is that if you're on the fence, if you've been unhappy in your relationship, the 10 weeks that we spend together will absolutely give you clarity. I can't tell you it will fix your marriage. I can't tell you you will leave. I can tell you that you will be sure about how you feel and what you want to do at the end of those 10 weeks, which is all anyone can give to you, right?
Yeah.
So what we had happen last year, because basically a shorter version of this course we launched last year with a small sort of group of people so that we could see what worked, what didn't, what should we add, which is why we doubled the time. They said they needed more time, and we added so many different elements that this group was kind enough to tell us about. And 2 of the people were in marriages that they were really on the fence about. One had little kids and one had no kids.
Yeah.
And both of them actually decided to stay in their marriage and actually shared the exercises. Now, the group itself and the private Facebook group is only for the women, obviously. But I was like, of course you can share the exercises with your partner, no problem. And they really transformed. And in both of those situations, they had a lot of really good foundational love. They just didn't have the skills to communicate effectively and efficiently with each other. They didn't understand their own downloaded blueprints and how what they experienced as kids was negatively impacting the marriage. With that newfound information, they just stopped doing all of this dysfunctional crap. And that helped the love grow and really become more vibrant. And then the dysfunctional stuff got much smaller. And then there was another person who has this beautiful who did a gorgeous testimonial for me, who had been in a 13-year abusive relationship. And the 5-week course inspired her to get out of it. And I mean, I can't even barely talk about that without bawling my eyes out, because it's so exciting and moving for me to see this beautiful woman and just spreading her wings. Like, she's got an online platform and like her life just changed.
Wow. And
that makes me so happy too. So I feel like anyone who's struggling, it really is appropriate. If you're single, it's appropriate. If you're partnered, it's appropriate, because the truth is it's 10 weeks. That's all about you.
Which is amazing, really. And I've not got the courses for women, obviously, but we've spoke about it a lot. But there's just so much content in there. And even when we were talking as well, Terri, talking about the self-awareness, I kind of used what we'd been talking about and kind of in my relationship. Now, as you know, me and Sharon have got a brilliant relationship. We're very self-aware, but we're very kind of couple aware as well. We're aware of each other, which is really important as well. And I know you kind of speak about that as well. I just love the whole concept of it as well. And obviously we'll put a link down below for anybody watching this. Now, a question I've got for myself, because the comments are sticking. It is a pain in the arse, but the comments are sticking. Nothing we can do about it. A question I've got, I've got a brilliant marriage, and I really have. How would you kind of look at your own marriage kind of periodically? Would you kind of do it self-consciously or consciously and look at it all the time so you don't get self-complacent? So in my situation, your situation as well, obviously, you've got a brilliant marriage as well.
I do. Well, what I teach in this course as well is something that's called a couple's vision. And so it's actually an exercise and a process that couples can go through. Long-term couples who have a really good thing, like Vic and I do it once a year. If it's new. So there's two things that I teach. It's the couple's vision that I think should be revisited probably twice a year for most couples. And then we do something that's called the State of the Union, which is a weekly or bi-monthly. It can be breakfast, it could be lunch, it could be dinner, it could be laying in bed on a Sunday morning. That could be when you guys do it. But it's a way that we check in proactively with what is going on. So it's an open forum in the relationship to talk about what's great, to give appreciation, but also to talk about maybe what's not working or a conflict that you had. And I just said to Vic, this was like a month ago when we were doing this, we had something happen, which is really so rare because, listen, we have both had a lot of therapy and we are, like you guys, very self-aware of what we have, of what we're doing, of, wanting a very conscious union without being too corny, but it's true. But something happened where Vic made a joke that, he's got I think very male humor that I most of the time don't find funny. And I don't mean locker room humor. I mean very literal humor. And he said something that not only did I find not funny, but I really found offensive, which is extremely rare. And it was so shocking to me and hurt my feelings. Like, I was like, I don't know, gobsmacked. Is that the wrong word? I don't know. I was like, what? And so at the time, immediately I said to him when he said it, he knew immediately, like his face was like, oh no. And I said to him, hey, I don't like that. I don't think that was funny. And that really hurt my feelings. He was like, I'm really sorry. I got it. The moment it left my mouth, I knew it was not correct. I'm really sorry. I was like, okay. When we did the State of the Union that week, I said, this is the last time. I will not say it again because I know that you're sorry, but I've got to tell you that really, really hurt my feelings. And I still am feeling hurt. And he was like, babe, I'm really sorry. I really am sorry. I promise you it won't happen again. Now, I don't feel compelled to beat the crap out of a dead horse. I really don't. Yeah. But it was something that I needed him to hear one more time, that it hurt me because he does not hurt me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. It's like we figured it out, so you don't do that. Why am I crying? I have no idea. But anyway, just feeling emotional about being in such a safe relationship, and then a safe space where if something does happen that's so rare, you have all of this space to be like, hey, I really need you to witness that didn't work at all for me. And I really need to know that you really know you're not doing that again. And I know that there are so many of you who are watching who don't have that safe space, but I promise you that you can create it. Like, it is possible if you're willing to do the work, but it all starts with you. So if there's a part of you that feels like super threatened, like, oh yeah, my partner is never like doing a weekly meeting, and like, we're not doing a vision thing. Don't worry about that, because the truth is it all starts with you. And when you change, your partner can't stay the same, because every relationship is a dance. You know this? Like, I do this and you do this. I do this and you do this. When you stop doing the dysfunctional part of the dance that you've been doing, your partner at first will be like, hey, what the hell? I do this, you're supposed to do this. They'll do what's called a change back move to try to make you be the way you used to be. Yeah. But if you stand firm, and I can teach you how, your partner will change simply because they have no other choice.
Wow. The thing that really struck me about that as well is, obviously, Sharon works kind of in women's aid and helping abused kind of relationships, women in abused relationships. But when women want to change, obviously men as well, but predominantly we're talking about women here. When they want to change, i.e. they want to go to college or university, the man kind of gets threatened and feel threatened because they're doing something different, they're bringing themselves up. And we'll make this the last question because I know we've taken up all your time. I know you're really busy.
Okay.
But how does a woman deal with that? They know they want to change, but the partner doesn't really kind of want them to change?
Yep. Well, that's a really, really brilliant question, which we super cover in the course, of course, but let's do it. That part of it is when the person who's changing changes her mind, her unconscious and conscious mind about the change, what happens is we create this self-fulfilling prophecy. When we know our partner won't like something, we go into the conversation or the interaction with fear right in the front of our mind, being like, I know he's going to flip out about this, but blah, 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 you know? I teach you how to process your own fear of his response. And I'm not talking about an abusive relationship. That's a whole different ball of wax, which we certainly do get into, but that is slightly more complicated. And then I have to deal with safety issues and those types of things. I'm just talking about you changing. If you want to lose 20 pounds and you start losing weight and you find your husband starts bringing you peanut M&Ms to be loving, that's him being threatened by you losing weight, right? And so you have to, in your own mind, be able to understand and either reassure him. Why is he threatened? Because he's afraid you're going to stop loving him. He's afraid he's going to lose you if you change. That's just a human response. So part of it for women who are, let's say, going back to college and the husband doesn't want them to, you have to change your own internal experience of it, where you have to really get solid. Like, it's my right to get this education. And I do love this person, but I love myself more.
Yeah.
And I'm going to figure out how to be okay with him maybe not loving it, but when he sees that I still love him, I'll still be in this relationship with him, but that I need him to support me, that I will teach you how to have a real conversation, not about what it looks like, because what it looks like is that you're not going to be able to do all the things you've been able to do, or he's going to feel neglected by you. That's what it looks like. But what it really is about is him being afraid he's going to lose you. Yeah. And I will teach you how to do that reassurance without abandoning yourself.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. So we've made that the last clip. We've been on just about an hour just now, and I really appreciate it. I know we said we're going to talk about maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, but we've been on for an hour, and I really, really appreciate your time, Terri. But just before we go, could you tell us, I know the Real Love Revolution is coming out on the 1st of February 2017. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Obviously, it's for women as well. We know that just now. You've got a group attached to it, which is a brilliant group as well. I know a lot of people are raving about the group already. Could you tell us a little bit about the programme, kind of how it's made up, and then the kind of group itself, and how we can do that? Obviously, I'll put a link down below as well.
Yeah, totally. It's 10 weeks because of the feedback that I got from the 5-week course last year. And those pillars that I described, we basically dive in and chew up those pillars for 2 weeks each as we're going. And there's so many other benefits. I have a lot of bonuses as well, because you know that a lot of my friends are adorable and lovely and very generous. And from I don't even know who your audience knows, but from Danielle Laporte to, there's just so many people, from Kate Northrup to Chris Carr to Gabby Bernstein. We have interviews and we have interest, and Daphne Oz from The Chew. And there's a whole bunch of people who have either been very influenced in their own life from the work that I've done with them, because people call me I'm what am I, the coach to the coaches, as they like to say. So that's great, because we have a lot of really content that is very aligned with my content. That is a real benefit to the people doing the course. But the course itself is just so much information. So it's a weekly module that I videoed that actually we did when I was in Barcelona. I went to Barcelona for like 10 days and created the course. This was in September, after working on it for almost a year. So you have the modules themselves, and then there's live weekly hour with me where I do Q&A so I can get specific with what's happening for the people in the group. And then we have the Facebook group that is totally private, women only, for the people in the course, where again, there's so much interaction. these therapeutic meditations that I've never done before. I have a lot of meditations out there. I have a best-selling meditation CD and all of that, but this is very different. And this is the first time that I've actually partnered with other people and done things with neurologists and really gotten dialing into how do we impact the unconscious mind and the conscious mind most profoundly with the daily meditations. Yeah. So the content, of course, is from me, but then we did a bunch of research so that as you guys, whoever takes the course, is working on changing all of these things, even when you're not working, when you're doing the meditations and when you're sleeping, your unconscious mind is helping you sort of accelerate the change in the construct of your mind. It's like super revolutionary, and I'm really, really excited about it. And what else with the course can I tell you? So it's 10 weeks, and it's this tribe of like-minded and like-hearted women. But there's a lot of protection within the group. So it is a group that is run by me and led by me. So there's really great, healthy rules within the group. So you're not getting a lot of unasked for advice from other people. It's basically super supportive, and then basically being led by me after we do our live stream every week.
Yeah.
And then there's all the conversations.
I know your live streams are going to be a big part of that as well. And I tried to get into the group, I was kicked out because I was a guy. So but that's cool. I just wanted to see kind of what you're up to and stuff like that for kind of research. And that's brilliant. And that's what I love about your group as well, because it is a safe environment for kind of women. They can open up, they can be vulnerable as well, which I love as well. And that's what the program's about. But Terri, thank you so much for the interview. I know we've gone over the time, but I really, really appreciate your time. We're going to put a link down below. There's a link above this video if you want as well. And I know so many people are going to sign up, but so many best wishes for the 1st of February. It's going to be absolutely kick-ass, and I can't wait.
Right on, me too. And I will talk to you soon. And I want to say thank you so much, Stephen. You know, I love you, and I super appreciate the ways that you've helped me with my business, how much you've changed that. But I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing me with your people.
Oh, thank you, Terri. I really appreciate that. What I'm going to do just now is we'll finish the way we started, and I'm going to play your kind of video again. Thanks again, Terri. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
See you guys in the course.
Take care.
Bye.
Do I know you? You are overwhelmed, so busy, exhausted, stressed out.
You're also successful by our cultural standard, but you still feel sometimes that something is missing. You're smart and ambitious, but you have a nagging feeling that there must be more. You have the job, the salary, and other stuff that constitutes success in our society, yet you're left wondering, is this really all there is? Is this how I'm supposed to feel? Shouldn't I be enjoying this process a little bit more? You know how to work, you know how to succeed, but you don't have balance. Life has become one big to-do list, and even the things that should bring you joy or used to bring you joy feel like just another obligation. Your needs and desires seem to end up at the bottom of that to-do list at the end of every day. And honestly, who has the energy? You want more satisfaction, meaning joy, but you simply don't know how to get it. When you put your head on the pillow at night, you just want to feel that you've done enough, that you're truly loved and seen for the person you really are, with a sense of inner peace that all is well. All of my overachieving sisters want the same thing in life. Real love and success that creates that inner peace and the ability to finally exhale.
You want to be able to speak authentically, draw boundaries with ease and grace, and get rid of the people-pleasing syndrome for good.
I know you because I was you, and I've helped thousands of women just like you rewrite limiting beliefs and rewire these ingrained behaviors to create a life and love of their dreams. Real love changes everything. It personally took me years of soul searching, therapy, and a cancer diagnosis to figure out how to stop using achievements to fill the hole that only self-love can fill.
I know for a fact that you can create a life and a love life that thrills and fulfills you, and you won't need 20 years of therapy or a cancer diagnosis to get it. You're welcome.
Join me and one powerful group of women on one transformational adventure starting February 1st, 2017, the Real Love Revolution.